I'm looking forward to hearing her story, and this promise is one that I picked, and it's one of my favorite parts of the big book. It's page 11 in Bill's story, and basically says he was taken from the scrap heap and given a life better than the best he has ever known. And that it just gives me shivers. I read that almost every day because it gives me a real knowledge of my gift of abstinence and the gift of recovery. So I'm looking forward to hearing Margaret.
We love you, Margaret. Oh, yes, we do. We love you, Margaret. And hope it's true. When you're not with us, we're blue. Oh, Margaret, we love you.
Well, thank you. I hope I can live up to that acclamation. So, what I want to do first is, and I'm kind of big on instructions, and it said that I was supposed to spend 10 minutes telling you my story, so this will be really fast. So I'm going to spend 5 minutes talking about what it was like, and I don't want to spend too much time about it, what it was like before, because you all have lived it. And then I'm going to spend 5 minutes talking about what it is like now. Then I'm going to spend 5 minutes talking about there was another promise with that, which is God has done for him what he could not do for himself. That was the first part of it. And then the second part was what Karen just said, which is that he has been taken to a level of life better than the best he's ever known. And just, it was fun putting this together because I feel like that I can honestly say, yes, that has come true for me. And my prayer is that that is coming true for you. So I don't really consider myself to be a public speaker. And so I take great comfort in knowing that it's not so much what I say is what you hear. And I can't screw that part up. I take great comfort in that. And over the years, people have come up to me and said, oh, you helped me so much, and they rattle off what they said. And I know that's not what I said. That's what they heard, so I'm real happy about that. So for those of you who aren't public speakers either, you can take great encouragement in that, and that everyone has something to share in their story. I first want to qualify and say to you, because I think that's probably the most important thing that we do in meetings. And so my name is Margaret. I'm a compulsive eater, and I came to this program 7 years ago. I keep track of that because of my dear friend Paula's abstinence date. She keeps track of that. And my recommitment date in this program is 7/24/2011. I am maintaining a 50-pound weight loss over all 30 and 12 steps. I am a full-service sponsor, food, inventory, step, and maintenance, and I currently sponsor 4 people. Sponsorship is a great thing, and I'm very grateful to be here today. And I want to send tremendous encouragement to anyone who is struggling today. I really get that, and you're going to hear that in my story. So the best way for me to tell my story is at the beginning, is to talk about the red flags that happened in my story at the beginning. Hopefully you have some of these in yours too, or you'll identify. There are 6 red flags if you look at my history, and I just want to go over there, and that kind of tells you how I got this thing that we're all trying to recover from. I had a sweet tooth as a child, but I was thin, and so if you had said, wow, this person's really going to end up with a serious food addiction problem, you would say that's crazy. But here we go. See if you identify with this. I would argue with my mother because I'd go to friends' house and they'd have all that junk food, and I wanted to know why we didn't have it. So I'm beginning to prime that physical allergy. And she would say, well, we don't have it because it's not good for you and it's too expensive. And, she's right. And she really served good, nutritious food. And I really look back and have a lot of gratitude for that because I believe it helped slow down the process of my addiction. The other thing I did was in 7th and 8th grade, I had acne, terrible, and came home with this school picture, and it looked like I had, like the mumps or the measles, So my mom sent me to a dermatologist, and interestingly enough, he put me on a diet, and what is the first thing that he removed? Sugar. And what you need to know about that, the red flag, is that I was horribly upset that someone would put boundaries around my food. Red flag, red flag, red flag, that I'm going to have problems later on. Then the next red flag is that babysitting. I would come and babysit your kids, and you would say to me, help yourself to anything in the refrigerator. And what that meant as a normal person is you get one drink and one, something to eat. That's really what that meant. But to me, that meant that I couldn't wait till I got your kids in bed, and then I would just skim your cupboards. I'm like the FBI going through your cupboards. And I'm eating a little bit of everything. And the red flag on this one is that, it never occurred to me that that was abnormal behavior. Not a one. So there's red flag. Then the next one is I went to summer camp. And what this is about is environment. Think about environment in your history. And at summer camp, it's all starches and sugars and that kind of thing. And I didn't do too well. I really, when I stopped growing and started to watch my weight, I'd come back every year with a little bit more weight gain every year. And so in the first year it was 5 pounds, next year it was 10, 20, 15, whatever. Anyway, but what was interesting about that was, I was completely disconnected from the whole process. And, I'd get off the bus and my family could hardly recognize me. They'd go, who is this? And, and so then what would happen is, back in the environment where my mother cooks fairly nutritious food, so I'd lose the weight the next year, then I'd go back again, what would happen? And the interesting thing about that is over time, it's getting partly progressive. Each year is a little bit more weight to lose. You get the thing. I'm starting into that cycle. And then the next thing and the final thing that is a huge red flag is when I stopped growing and had to watch my weight. You remember how I didn't want people to put boundaries around my food? Well, we're really into that issue, and I really felt like it was just terribly unfair. I don't think normal people do that. I think they go, oh, well, this is a part of life, and you just deal with it. That's just how it is. But I just felt like, why couldn't I be one of those people who didn't have to, watch their weight, blah, blah, blah. And out of that, what I decided was that I learned how to mainline on sweets, because sweets were everything. So instead of eating that good nutritious food anymore, it was like, oh, this is great. I can still maintain my weight, but I can eat all the sugar that I want, or whatever it was. And those are kind of all the things that came together. It's quietly progressing over many years, and I went to college. And remember, I'm doing that summer camp thing. You think I learned. But I went to summer camp a year before college, and I gained 20 pounds. Went to college, lost that 20 pounds, and then that's when I crossed over the gray line. Oh, and all the dieting I did was really crazy. You'd eat like one thing. It was weird. I just did really weird things with the food. But it was all about I was going to lose the weight. And if you said, you're really developing a serious problem here, I would have said, you're crazy, so I'm able to lose the weight. And so anyway, that second semester in college is when I crossed over the gray line of powerlessness. And I lost the power of choice, and I have never regained that. I am 58 today, and I am just as powerless over food or worse than I was at the age of 20, or I guess 18. And I found myself in huge trouble because I started doing all the uncontrolled binging that we all know about. So I gained back that 20 pounds, no surprise. Okay, got to go to summer camp one more time, and gained 30 pounds. So in a year, I've lost 20, and then I gained 50. That's not good. And I really was in the powerlessness of this disease. And I started doing all that quantity. You buy stuff, and the whole quantity is the container. I'm eating, binging, and tremendous amounts of sugar. And that stuff makes me suicidal, crazy, and depressed. Don't know what it does for you, but it really does. And so those are the red flags that got me to being powerless over food. I never did I did 2 commercial things, I will have to say. I did hypnosis from Houston, down in Houston. We had that going on. And then I tried some of the commercial things you can buy over the counter. But really, I have to say that, I never was able to successfully diet again after I crossed over that gray line. And maybe that's true for you. It's a real relief today to know that, I'm powerless over all that stuff. I can't do it. So that's kind of a snapshot. My top weight was 170, and I was in deep trouble. I really was. So now I want to shift over. I'm going to start talking about what recovery's been like. I've been very fortunate. I stumbled into my first 12-step program for food recovery at the age of 20. I was at college, and I'm very grateful for that. I look back and think, what would have happened to my life if I hadn't? And you can know what the picture is. It's not going to look too good. This thing's going to just really progress and take off, and the disease anyway. And so that was in 1978, and my first they had food plans, but my first abstinence, I wasn't too good with the food plans. I really wasn't. So my first abstinence was abstaining from sugar. And I can't tell you how that saved my life, because it makes me suicidal, crazy, and depressed. And somehow not doing that, it was a real turnaround for me in being stable. And so I'm very grateful for that. But if you just do those, the thing was just abstain from your binge foods, But the problem is, if you do that, then you just create others, right? It happened with me anyway. So there was a lot of process in over the years in looking at what to eat or what not to eat. The biggest journey for me in the after period is having to look at the physical allergy. The food plan that we have today, there are many things on there that I cannot eat, and it took a long time to figure that out. But today, I stand here before you craving free, and that's a huge deal. My body is at rest. It's very easy to do abstinence, and I can move from meal to meal. And that's what this program is about. So in doing that, I just want to give you a quick snapshot of what that looks like. I abstain from sugar and flour like we all do. I abstain from sugar-free things. They fire off that addiction. And I also abstain from dairy. Dairy was the last component of it that I didn't know. And the way I like to put it is, you have hardcore binge foods, and then you may have complementary binge foods, and dairy was a complementary binge foods, and you can fill that in on your own, what that looks like. But anyway, then there are individual binge foods. So I like that definition of abstinence. We abstain from sugar, flour, individual binge foods, and quantity. And the quantity is everything. I've got to weigh and measure. I don't know what an appropriate portion looks like. I think it's like someone having dyslexia. I really don't. I'll sometimes pretend when I'm weighing my food. I'll go, oh, that's 4 ounces. And I always, unfortunately, see it, what is it? It's always more than I think it is. Not good. So I really need to continue to weigh and measure, and I'm very grateful for that. And I weigh and measure when I eat out. I was really happy with all the scales here. Not everybody does. But restaurants and supermarkets are dangerous places for me. They are. I'm very businesslike when I go in there. When I go grocery shopping, I'm in there to get my stuff and get out of there. And it's the same true with restaurants. Some of you may do that differently. But I take my scale basically because I need to know that I have left that restaurant abstinent. And the portions, as I understand it, in restaurants are very distorted. And that just feeds into the distortion I already have in my head. So I'm very happy to take my scale with me, and no one's really ever asked about it, but if they do, I just tell them. I use it so I have appropriate portions with my food, and you're welcome to use it if you like. And no one's ever taken me up on it, but so anyway, that helps me be able to leave those places abstinently. And then I'm gonna look at my time here. Okay, I'm moving right along here. I now want to talk about some of the dynamics of why Cea-How has been such a game changer for me. Again, I came here 7 years ago, and I actually tapped into the phone bridge, because in Houston we don't have meetings. And I was really doing it to supplement another food recovery program that I'm in, and that's how that started out. But after a while hanging out there and listening to people, I thought, wow, you people really have what I want, and I really need to do this deal. But I was pretty nervous about it because, and what I know now today is that, for me, on the continuum of 12 steps, you can go out there, there are so many 12-step programs for food. And what I like to tell people is you need to find where you can fit and grow and recover. No one can make that decision for you but you. And Cea-How is kind of in the middle as I see it. You've got some with no structure, you've got some with more structure. Cea-How somewhere in the middle, and that's been a perfect fit for me personally. But I always like to say to people, and there's some people that I've sponsored, and they got their hand on the door and they're ready to leave. And what I say to them is, truly, this really is a program of self-care. It's absolutely a program of self-care. And you can have 24-hour-a-day help. you just got to ask for it. I mean, there's help available 24/7. I live in Central Time. That's great. There's no excuse. I can make outreach calls to the East Coast, the West Coast. There are a few people in Hawaii. I mean, there's no reason why I can't, ask for help. And so, with that in mind, I just like to encourage people, and like when they have their hand on the door and they're ready to leave, what I say to them is, what plan of self-care are you going to put in its place? I don't have any vested interest in what anyone does, but you're out the door, and if you're out the door without a plan to put in this place, you're going to be exactly back where you were when you came here, at your bottom, and you're going to go right back to the food. So I really encourage people when they're at that place to say, think about it. What's your plan of care going to be when you, close the door and Cea-How and go and try to go do something else? Like have that plan in place. After you call me, like before you call me or whatever. What is that going to be? Because otherwise you're just right back out there in the food. So I can't say enough about the game changer that Cea-How has been for me. It's the right combination of accountability and structure. I need to be able to be responsible and to a person for my food. I need to be able to tell them. And I've had 2 or 3 sponsors, and I guess I've really concluded it really doesn't matter really who it is, but I need to do that. And it's nice to have it be the same person for consistency purposes, but on my own, I'm not going to be able to carry that out very well. So that is the big game changer, that accountability and structure. And for some reason, making the 7 tools required helps me do that. It's just amazing. If you don't make it required, I might probably, maybe when it's convenient. But by making it required, abstinence becomes my top priority, and so does this recovery program. And I get stable abstinence out of that, and I want to keep that. I like the person I am in abstinence. I hope you do too. I do not like the person I am when I'm out there in the food. It's terrible, and I can't not be that person and be out there in the food. So I just want to tell you a few quick things that I do in my program. That doing the 7 tools every day has been a huge game changer for me, and I see it so positive today. It's such positive self-care, and that's a real hard sell to the newcomer. Besides the fact that they first, look at the food plan and go, "Where's the food?" And then they go, "You really? I live a busy life here. Now you really want me to make 3 calls to people I don't know?" I mean, it really can be a hard sell. But what I have found is that there's just pure freedom in doing that. And what it does is it keeps me connected to the fellowship. And the other thing is to say to you, I really believe it's like doing a fire drill. And there are going to be life crises in your life. They're going to come. I got some currently right now. And if I am doing those 7 tools every day, especially the phone, if I'm picking up that phone, I'm practicing, when that crisis comes, I have improved the odds that I'm going to pick up that phone and ask for help and support instead of picking up the food. So every day I'm practicing that for when that crisis comes. And so I just see that as a huge positive thing. The best way to put it, this person is no longer in program, but I made an outreach call to them, and I just thought this is just wonderful. They said, doing the 7 tools every day changes my me program into a we program, and I recover. That, in a nutshell, I think is what we do. And so I was so pleased I made that outreach call. I don't know I can't remember who this person is or whatever, and I don't believe they're still in program, but it was just process. I said, hey, they have summed up what we do, I think. The other thing I want to say is, one thing I have struggled with is writing. And one of my sponsors, it's such a great hot tip. This is what happens to me. Look at those questions. I just finished the tradition questions. And like they cram 3 questions in one kind of thing. And I kind of, in my head, I go, but I only signed up to do 1 question. I signed up to do 1 question. So I was struggling with this, and a current sponsor I had said, but she said, hey, you're only required to do 1 question a day. So you can do just 1 sentence. And that got me through those tradition questions. So I take the first question and I do the first sentence. I did a writing assignments usually. And then the next day I do the next sentence. And then I do the next sentence. And I do the next sentence. And I can move through those questions instead of getting paralyzed and going, where do I start? You've given me 3 questions here and I don't know how to do it and I don't have a lot of time. And so I passed that hot tip on to me. It was great. It really was. I'm so grateful for that. The other final thing I want to say is that I believe you have to stay to recover and get well. I've been in rooms long enough to see people come and go, and those people who stay make the most progress. And those people who cycle in and out don't do as well. So now I want to move on and talk about our promises for the day. And that first one, God has done for himself what he could not do for himself. I really think about, I'm coming back to the first half of step one, which is what brought us all here, my powerlessness over food. And I can honestly say to you that God has done for me what I cannot do for myself. And it's pretty easy to stay abstinent every day as long as I stay connected with you all and do the deal. And I get real excited about this. There's a pamphlet that I think gets overlooked, and I get all excited about it. And it's that first pamphlet that has the first 20 questions. Did you get it? Did you get it when you came in? It's the 20 questions that says, are you or are you not a compulsive eater? Did you take the quiz? How did you do? Let me tell you how I did. I took this, I'm 58, and I took it at the age of 20, and I answered all yes but one. That's not good. That's not good. And the one I answered no to was, has your doctor ever treated you for obesity? And I could say no because I'd never let him, So anyway, so I don't know how you did on that quiz, but anyway, we tend to just kind of hand that pamphlet to the newcomer. But I want to hand that pamphlet to you today in recovery and say, hey, go check that out and read those questions in your recovery. And today, if I read those questions today, all that crazy behavior and all, I can say that I'm in remission. I can get a 90 today. Remember, I got a whatever it was, but I can get probably a 90 today, and that answers that question, has God done for me what I cannot do for myself? My disease is in remission. And that's a real concrete way to look at it. I love those questions. And the one question that's the most haunting to me on one of them, there are a whole bunch of them out there you can find, but it says, does your eating make you and other people around you unhappy? That is a haunting question to me, and it is true. And today, in abstinence, with the Way to Measure food plan, I have integrity with my food, and that allows me to have integrity with the people in my life that I care about. It really does. When I'm out there in the food, I'm sneaking your food before it's all over. And then I gotta go get dry cleaning. I don't even own dry cleaning, but I gotta get dry cleaning because it goes on and on. All the things that we do to get the food so that nobody knows about it. And today, I don't have to do that. My family has a beach house, and we went, and I've done a lot of not good things down there, and we went a couple years ago, and suddenly I found myself alone in that beach house with everybody else's food. And because of a Way to Measure food plan, I had integrity with people, and I had a great time. Every time you get out there in the food, whatever you're doing, it's no longer about that, it's now about the food. And I could have integrity and be in those relationships and in that time, and it was wonderful, but it's because I had a Way to Measure food plan. So I can't say enough of that. But anyway, so my answer to this question, has God done for me what I couldn't do for myself, is absolutely. And again, I really encourage, I get so excited about that, like I said, the pamphlet with the 20 questions. We tend to hand that to newcomers, but I'm handing it to you today and say, go look at that. I'm going to talk to my sponsor and see, hey, we're supposed to do a question a day. Maybe I can do those questions in that pamphlet. And see and compare what was it like then and what is it like now, and more powerfully, how am I going to answer it if I get back out there in the food? I'm telling you, I'm going to answer it the same. I'm going to get a 90 on it if I'm back out there in the food. Nothing's changed. Then the second half of the question, which is Karen's favorite, is that we will have a life better than we could ever have known before. And I want to say yes to that simply because I think it's talking about the second half of step one, which is I have an unmanageable life. And I want to let you know that today, because of your help, I have great life tools to do life on life's terms. And that's what we're talking about. And if I don't have those, if you just hand me the food plan, life gets too uncomfortable. Life gets too unfair. Life gets too hard. Life gets too whatever. And then I'm going to fix it with food. Knowing all that I know, my history, but I will fix it with food. So I need to have good life tools. And so that's back to, for me, doing the 7 tools every day. I also do 10-step daily work. I got to own those resentments, fears, expectations, and disappointments. And I love this. Expectations are resentments under construction. Expectations are resentments under construction. And that's been a great definition for me to look at. It's just, how do you get to that place where suddenly you have a resentment, maybe you have an expectation that was unmet. But those are the things I have to do, and I have a 10-step daily form that I use. It's in Excel, and it's based on the columns in the big book. And I have a 10-step sharing partner, and my contract with her is that I'm going to be rigorously honest, and it's really embarrassing. I mean, some of the stuff you put down there. My disease lives at the level of a 3 to 5 year old. So, my niece came to visit. This is my sister's daughter, and so she didn't come with toothpaste, and so she had to use mine, and she squashed it in the middle, and it can be as petty as that. It can be as petty as that. It can be, whatever you got going on, just enough of that, and you're out there. And that really was, and I had to call and I had to own it to Betty, and I'm sure Betty thought, this is not good. So anyway, I've come a long way from there, but I really believe in daily 10-step work. I also need to stay on top of character defects, and the biggest one I have is comparison. And when I compare myself to people, I tend to compare myself to people who are doing much better than I am on the outside. I'm comparing their externals to their externals to mine. And you don't know what's going on the inside. But anyway, I've got to stay careful of that because that leads to self-pity. And maybe all my character defects do, but self-pity is always a gateway back to the food. And then spirituality, expanding step 11. I hope you're able to do that, just not only within the context of 12-step program, but you take that beyond that. The big book says that, other religious or spiritual groups have a lot to offer. And so I've been able to grow there and continue to do that at my church doing step 11 work. So I think I covered it all. I don't know. What I want to finally say about this, that my life is better than it has ever been known. That is true today. My top priority is to stay abstinent and work this program every day. And the reason is I've got people in my life counting on me. My mother's in stage 4 cancer. My dad is 89, and so I'm taking care of elderly parents. And, if I'm not abstinent, I'm not going to be able to be there for them the way they need me to be there for them. I've had tremendous job challenges over the last couple of years, and last year, a job that I had gotten a lot of training for was outsourced. So now I have another job I'm learning, but I may have to be out looking for another job. So on the job step, I'm always having challenges. And then the final thing is that I have a condo, and it's been flooded 3 times, twice in the last 2 years. So, and that happens in April and May, so that's coming up. And so all those things are life challenges, and there's no time to say, oh, this one's off the table. My parents are a real love story, and they keep each other going. So, I don't know how long they're going to go, but, there's no end date on that. There's no end date on the weather in Houston, and there's no end date on my job challenges. So each day, I am finding I have to live with those kind of challenges every day, and that's life on life's terms. So with that qualification, I think I do have better life tools, and that I do have the best life I've ever known, because I'm able to do it life on life's terms, which is the one thing that maybe I could never do without the excess food. So that's it. See how I did? Ooh, pretty good.
Great.
So my prayer for you today is that you got something out of this. Sounds like you did. Good. And we have, essentially, it looks like for my time, someone else, I know we started a little later because of the other exercise, but we'll now open it for sharing for those who want to share on Karen's promise. Anyone like to come forward? Here is the microphone.
Will you repeat the promise, please?
Sure. The first promise is God has done for himself what he could not do for himself. And the second one is that God has taken him to a level of life better than the best he has ever known.
When I first went to OA, my very first meeting, a person followed me out into the parking lot, and I was getting into my car. You know how you go in there and you want to give me the damn food plan. Don't look at me, don't talk to me, tell me what I got to do, and want to kind of slither out like a snake. So I was slithering out into the parking lot, and this person tapped me on the shoulder, and I turned around, and she said, "You never have to compulsively overeat again as long as you live." And I never saw her again, and I don't know who she was, and I never forgot it. And what God did for me that I couldn't do for myself, I have a voice. I have a speaking voice and I have a singing voice. I never thought I could sing. I'm in 3 singing classes. Oh, sorry. I'm in 3 singing classes. You know, I don't sound like, anybody that you know. But, but I'm not afraid and I'm not ashamed. I won't sing alone. But it's changed my life. I went to a bluegrass camp last year with my sister, and I didn't know anything about bluegrass. I didn't know it's about performing. I didn't know it's about solo. I didn't know it's about singing. And there I was, and they put us in these groups of 7 people we didn't know. Everybody was gracious to me. And then we had to perform, Then we had to perform in front of 200 people. And I did it. I did it. So, thank you, Ashton.
I'm Judy K., grateful compulsive eater. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Margaret. What a great share. I don't know where to begin, but I have to tell you, I had my 70th birthday this year. I never envisioned my life at 70 would be like this. I mean, I remember sitting down when I was in my disease and writing a list of things that I wanted in my life and feeling I will never get that, and everything has come true. I wanted a good, loving relationship. I wanted a house with a view of the mountains, and I couldn't afford a down payment. I didn't realize that being in recovery and dealing with my food issues would lead to all this joy. And recently we had a friend who got sick, and we went to this retirement village. It was a kind of concept where you live there and you go to assisted living, and then you can get nursing care. And after we were done, I said to my husband, I'm way too young for this. I meditate, I talk to my wonderful sponsees, my wonderful sponsor, I get on a meeting. I am actually grateful I'm able to do workshops and home study programs with people on positive thinking and spirituality. And God has really given me this ability without compulsive eating to create what I want. I can sit there and say, okay, God, where do you want me to serve? What are we going to do? I've done meetups. I've done things I never thought I would ever be able to do, all because I have this structured and disciplined approach to my eating. And I love that ability to have integrity around food. That's why I have to be really black and white with my abstinence, because if I have that integrity, then I am free. And we're going on a cruise in April to the Mediterranean. We're going to Alaska. I mean, all these amazing things. And if I had to envision my life at 70, I would have said, I'll be sitting in a rocking chair watching TV. No, no, no. So this program has led to such joy in my life. I'm so grateful.
Note for Judy K. I got you beat. I'm an older lady than you are. So happy birthday. I'm Jan D. from Arizona.
Hi, Jan.
I've been in program and abstinent 12 and a half years, and totally feeling blessed, especially today. Oh, what a gorgeous day this is. All these gorgeous faces. And this has been an amazing, amazing assembly. Thank you, ladies. Awesome. Oh, and gentlemen, the gentlemen, everybody who contributed, it's been wonderful. It's wonderful and wonderful seeing you all. I know a lot of you and met some new faces. The promise of God is doing for me what I have never been able to do for myself. It's been so realized recently in the last 6 months, especially, it's been really reinforced. I know that I came into program, I met a lady and I said, I heard you're losing weight and you haven't gained it back. What are you doing? She says, I go to meetings and I follow a food plan. I'm there. That day I went to a meeting. 2 days later I was abstinent. And I had no idea what this business with a higher power was. And because I kind of did a trade-off from one addiction to another, but those are all, God has taken those away too and given me relief from those addictions. But it's taken time. But I was abstinent first from flour and sugar. And then gradually, and it took me quite a while. I grew up knowing that there was a higher power, but I wasn't about to identify one for me. And after 2 or 3 years, I said, God is my higher power. And I was able to totally surrender my will and my life. And I'm able, more and more every day to have that sense, that connection with my higher power. And just a demonstration of how much He works in my life. Many of you know this story. Last October 28th, this old lady who's 73, I was out shopping with my little granddaughter and I tripped on the sidewalk. And I fell flat on my face. Literally, my face hit the ground. I bit the dust before anything else hit the ground. And I had to go to the emergency room and had a CAT scan. Well, I found out I had a brain tumor. And I didn't know I had any symptoms. I didn't know anything was wrong, except I felt getting older. I was getting older. I was having all these things that I had to adapt to. But I accepted them because I'm getting old and I have another illness that can cause them. And lo and behold, I find out about this. I was in Riverside, California at my daughter's, and I went to the Riverside Hospital. And the neurosurgeon walked in and he said, he was the one on call, and he said, you do have a brain tumor and it really should come out because it's big. And I said, okay. He said, if you want to go back home and get someone there to do it, he said, or I'm willing to do it for you. I said, I live in a little town in Arizona. There is no one. But this guy looked familiar. I mean, this is God working in my life. He looked familiar. And I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I had my Steelers sticker on my phone. And he says, Pittsburgh Steelers, yeah. As it turns out, I'm a retired nurse. I had worked on a neurosurgical unit in the University of Pittsburgh for a couple of years. He was a neurosurgical resident. I knew him. God performed this miracle. First of all, I fell on my face. They found something I wouldn't have found otherwise until it was too late. He puts this wonderful, wonderful doctor in my life. I'm in a place where my family is there. My daughter lives in Riverside, and that's who I was with. And my husband came out, and we had the surgery. It went beautifully. I had an awesome recovery. I had to have therapy and stuff. But, are you ready for this? I was abstinent through the whole thing. This has nothing to do with me. This is all God. He put everything in place. He allowed me to continue in my recovery and be totally, totally grateful. And I get to share this message. And, I got to put a plug in for service. I have been doing service since I was in program for 2 months. I've continuously done some service, and I do more and more service because I need more and more encouragement to stay abstinent. And, I've already taken up too much time. But thank you all for being here. Thank you for letting me share my little story. But God has fulfilled that promise.
Hi, my name's Wright, and I'm a compulsive eater. Hi. Hi. The promises are funny because I didn't know they were available. And, one of the things it's done is allowed me to see life with a bit of joy and a little bit of irreverent humor. And, it's really very different. My mother passed about 2.5 years ago, and for some reason they asked me to talk, and it was a graveside funeral. And I love my mother. She was a protector and very clear about her mission. She was a South Texas raised ranch family gal where they didn't have electricity until she was like 16 years old. And so anyway, they asked me to say a few words at her funeral. And the one story I love telling about my mom is that as a ranch kid, she was obligated to do chores. Everybody had chores. Well, hers was to gather up eggs out of the hen house. And she had gone outside to do this, and she reached in, and there was a rattlesnake that had curled up in there, and she reached in to get the egg, and it bit her right on the hand. The story I was told is that the snake died 3 days later.
My name is Louise, and I'm a compulsive eater. And one thing I know for sure that I'm a compulsive eater. I mean, that's my truth. And I cannot change that for anything else, and I can try to, but I can't. What has gotten me through is being absent. And being absent and going through real tough things. And I don't go cry. If you've never lost a child, I'm going to tell them do not go for it, because that's one of the hardest things. Every time I come to an assembly, when my child died August 27, 2014. I came to the assembly in Las Vegas, and I was on the speaker, and I was thinking, I can't speak, I can't do this. And I was saying, praying, and I went on up, and I don't know how I got through it, but I did. And every time I come to an assembly since then, it always hits me. It just hits me. So I'm sitting here trying to go through this and get to the end of the assembly. Because when I went home from that assembly, I just went home, and I got home, so I just hit the bed and cried. I couldn't help it, because it hurts so bad. It hurts. So this is what got me through, is being absent, you being here with you, and you being with me, and sharing, all your sharing with me, hugging me, giving me love. And that's what's important for me. And I know that one day at a time that I will get through this. It's not hard, it's not easy. Some days it is harder than others, and some days I'm okay. So, I say, if you got children, tell them, do not go before you.
So, I want to talk about something really quick that we have not mentioned. It's a big part of my life. Sex. S-E-X. Sex. God has done for me what I could not do for myself. And it has, what's the second part? But more than you ever better imagined. When you love yourself and you open yourself to love and intimacy, you can reach heights that you never imagined. And 10 years 50 Shades of J, baby, okay? Because I opened myself to love and intimacy and acceptance and freedom and lack of inhibition and just doing whatever I want without feeling bad about myself and, you know, no guilt. And it's been amazing. So open your life to intimacy and love, and it may reach heights you never thought you could reach.
My name is Ella Compulsive Eater. I love those promises, especially the ones that God doing for you what you can't do for yourself. And I'm telling you, this program has really, really brought some challenges out of my life because I'm an isolator. I'm put it out there. I think I'm one of the world's biggest isolators. Open the dictionary and see my face. I get isolated in this crowd. You wouldn't even know I'm here. So I'm just grateful. Not only just the weight coming off, but the inside of me letting me know who I am. I didn't, I thought I knew who I was, but I didn't know who I was. And I pretended, I faked a lot. I lived a phony life because I smiled all the time, and you asked me how I'm doing. I said, I'm doing good. I'm fine. I'm good. Then when you say something about that weight, that's when we had a problem. Yeah. And so I'm just so grateful this program has brought things out of me that I didn't know. I'm in school, which I hate school. I ain't gonna lie to you all. I do not. I never liked school. I used to skip school. I used to do all kinds of things. But actually, I am a person that is very knowledgeable in reading, learning new things, but not in school and not having. And I have a problem with authority figures. I do not like authority figures. So it's just like God is teaching me so much, and then dealing with you guys. You guys have really opened up something in me that I hear. It's one lady, she's not here, she's always on the bridge though. She was talking about a change she was making it later in life, and I'm always feeling as you get older, well, dang, you gotta go somewhere just like, mentor Judy, sit in the chair and rock, so. But she was doing something totally different. I'm like, wow, and she at this age, and I'm heading toward that age, and she was doing something, and I told her, you inspired me to move forth in life, and so I'm in school, and so I got talked into that. That was God. That was not Ella. That was God, because I was calling these people for a job. The man told me, you need to go back to school. And I said, I don't want to go back now. He said, well, let me just give you a school, and I'll turn you over to a recruiter. And once I do this, and then he said, if you don't want to go, you don't have to. But he said, it'll better your chances. You just don't know. I said, okay. And so he turned me over to the people that helped me to get in school, and God chose the school because I never heard of Augustine University in my life. And so he chose the school, he chose the administrator advisor for me to speak to, and when I spoke to this guy, he said, you know what? He said, you got a business mind. He said, I can tell the way you talk. See, I come from a family, they full of education and business. See, you would never tell through me that it's like that with my family, but they are very educated people and very business-wise, and I got that through them. And so I said, okay, I'll come in and talk to you. So I went in and talked with him, and we got to talking, and so when we got to talking about weight. And I showed him my pictures. He said, good Lord. He said, where the rest of you? I said, how did you do it? I said, hey, I got 1,000 people that supports me. And he said, what? I said, yes. And I said, I'm working a 12-step program. So now the school that I'm in, I work there. So I train these people to how I eat. So anything like sugar or flour, they said, don't give it to Miss Ella. I was fighting one day over a piece of sweet. That was last week, and she said, why did you do that? Because I told you, Miss Ella, don't eat that. She said, well, I forgot. She said, well, don't forget next time. It's just wonderful how God is working in my life. I was ready to walk off this job. And a couple of you know my story about this, because that boss she just looked like when I first got in there it was okay, then all of a sudden she just like turned 360 on me like the devil's horns came out. I didn't know what to do, and see my old comfort zone say, quit. Just go on and do what you used to do. Quit, walk on off, do this and do that. Thank God for my beautiful sponsor sitting over there. She said, don't you do that. And then I had wrote a letter. And she said, tear that letter up. Put that thing in the garbage. She said, it's about your job, not about you. I said, why she want me to do that? I said, okay, I'll rewrite it when I get back to the job, but I never rewrote that letter. You wouldn't believe to this day, I learned to do gratitude around the worstest circumstance. God has taught me to do gratitude. I don't care how ugly it looks. I don't care how nasty it looks. It's some gratitude in that man. And I had to dig every day. Prayer, meditation is wonderful because once God gives you the inner insights on what to say, what to do, it's just easy. So every day I do a gratitude over her. I do gratitude over my children, so they battle every day. So I do that over them, and I do it over a friend of mine. But that gratitude changed the atmosphere. The gratitude changed everything in there. Now you think me and my boss is best friends. She got so much to sit down and talk to me about. We work together. We do things together. So it's just wonderful. This program, I like that. I really love that God doing for me what I can't do for myself. Because I could never do this for myself. I would never be here in Texas if it wasn't for God bringing me here because they say it's a Cea-How up there, but I had never heard of it. They kept on wanting to give me gastro bypass. And just by the grace of God, I had to say no. I would just say no. And I just thought I was going to die in my disease. I really did because I was heading toward 500 pounds. I was 459 when I moved here to Texas. And I thank God for the places that He sent me to get to here. Because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be standing here. I know I'd be somewhere dead because as I got older, my pressure was going up and every health was just going through changes. And so this program has took me off blood pressure medication, off inhalers. I'm able to walk my joints. I can move, motivate. I can do things, I couldn't do for years. I had isolated, just like I said. I had took myself out of the world and hide. And like one of you, I think she spoke about the children. Yeah, I did childcare so I could eat. And so it was a business. Don't trust me. I did it for a business. I worked for the state of Minnesota doing childcare, but it was still so I could eat because I made an excuse. Oh, the children are like that. But it actually was for Ella to like that. The children got what I wanted them to get. So it was just one thing leading to another. I'm just grateful to be here, and I'm grateful for all of you, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm Janine from Oklahoma.
Hi, Jan.
I was just thinking, as I was sitting here looking at these beautiful faces of people coming up, there is one person in this room that I knew previously before I started in Cea-How. One. And our relationship has metamorphosed into a beautiful situation because of this program. But when I think about how expansive the love of my higher power is, that now, as we were walking around riding on people's backs, I would look at someone's face and I felt a soul connection. Just even to people that I just met this weekend, or even just, I really hadn't met them. Maybe they just helped me with something or smiled at me. It's just a connection that we feel with each other in the soul, within our souls. And to me, it's the biggest gift of all. I have people in this room who pray for me every day, people who call me, people who know my innermost fears and love me with all of my issues that I have, all of my faults, and they don't focus on that. And I feel it just looking at you here. You don't either. You see me for, I see God in you, and I think you share that vision back with me. So I want to thank you all for being in my life. The beautiful connections we have, so many of you on the bridge that I'm getting to put faces with, and through service, and the beautiful, this beautiful assembly, and all the love that was put into it by the Dallas group and others, many others, including you. Thank you.
This has been an awesome weekend. I'm grateful for my compulsive overeater. Thank you for reminding me. Hi. And I just want to say this has been an awesome weekend. And last night we gave out big books and gifts, and we did the less time. And
I didn't say anything. But you know, this has been a renewing for me. And I'm thankful. And I didn't want the big book. I wanted to go somebody else. And I'm thankful. But when I look around these rooms, no matter where I'm at, this is the only place I'm accepted. And what a gift. What a gift. I love everyone here. And I just, this is recovery for me. And Renella said that. I don't even remember telling her that. But that's God doing for me what I can't do for myself, like the promises say. And when Aretha was going through having somebody she would come, I'm so grateful that I was clean and I could hear the pain that she was in. And Ginger with her grandson. And Teresa, when she was coming back, and she said, can you come? Can you take me? I have walked this walk. And I love each and every one of you. And Johnny for putting up with me, with my craziness. And Kay for loving me right where I'm at. But I maybe cannot call everybody's name, but I hear you on the phone bridge. And every time I hear you and I'm in that low place, I realize I'm worthy. And even though Ed keeps fighting me, I know one day I'm going to be that one and y'all going to say, oh my God, she's speaking. She's speaking. She's delivered. She's healed. And I am healing. And I'm just so happy to be here. I can't be in a better place. I cannot be in a better place. And even the accountant who keeps the numbers straight and keeps us straight. And she's gonna do this next year, even though she don't want to. She's gonna. Please come back. And no matter where you are, believe me, I'm the prodigal child. You can make it. And you can live a better life than you ever lived. So don't give up. And don't think you're going to go out that door and it's going to be different. There's no other answer. I like what she said is, when they say they're going to leave, she said, what's your next plan? I was like, oh my God. That's powerful. That speaks volume. What do you have in place next? I didn't ever have nothing in place. I kept coming back. And I found out, you know what? Y'all still love me. And I appreciate that. And I love y'all. And when I call, if I don't call Penny, no, I'm listening to your message 4 or 5 times. Okay? So, love you.
I'm Jill, compulsive eater. And I came to this program in 2006, October, and it has changed my life. And it's been a journey because my first 7 years were easy as pie. I was on the pink cloud for 7 years, but I was doing my work. And I started serving first myself, and then at 30 days others, and went to meeting level and intergroup level and area level and world service level. And then I hurt myself, and things changed for me, and I fell off my pink cloud. So I've had a journey since that time because I felt like I'd let myself down, and everything that had worked for me before didn't work for me suddenly. And so I was in that level of unacceptance that things could change. Why can things change? I mean, I'm doing my thing, I'm doing the program. Why has this changed? That's not fair. Pity party. So all the things that this program teaches I still have more learning to do. And that's okay. It doesn't matter. Because I needed this. I needed this learning. So never get discouraged is what I'm finding out. Never think this isn't for you. Never think that the challenges can't be overcome. It is a program of continual recovery. And it has promises for every single minute you're in it. And I'm just really glad that my willingness and everything is here, and that you all have been here to teach these wonderful truths to me. And thank you so much for it. Love you all.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Karen, and I'm a compulsive eater.
Hi, Karen.
And by the grace of God, I came in. My first meeting was in January of 2014, and I sat there, and I wasn't willing at that time, but I thought, oh my God, there's just so much stuff. There's no way I can ever do this, So a whole year passed, and I had a bad eating Christmas with my sister, and I gained 10 pounds from that visit. And that sort of got me willing again to come. I came in again, had a second meeting in January of 2015, and I struggled for 3 months until my abstinent date of April 6, 2015. And this is the fourth 12-step program that I've been in, and this is by far the most challenging, I find, because in all the other ones, well, except for Al-Anon, the other ones you could just be totally abstinent, and it's a lot easier. But with food, you have to make it every day you wake up. You have to make those decisions, and so. But I gotta say, peeling that extra onion has helped me a lot spiritually. I feel closer to God. I feel open to new experiences and not as closed off, because I think part of the eating was the isolation aspect of it, and I'm working on that because that's it's about all addiction. It's always about hiding the addiction and that kind of thing. But anyway, I'm so grateful for everybody in these rooms. I gained everything. I mean, it's been hard to keep. I'm really grateful to Ella for helping me out in the program. I had 2 sponsors right away, and they went out of the program, and that was kind of difficult in the beginning. So, and it's always difficult. But anyway, just thank you guys so much. This has been the best. I've gotten so much out of this. I can't say. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen. Thanks, Karen.
My name is Karen. I'm a compulsive eater.
Hi, Karen.
Hi, everyone. I'm just so grateful, and God has done so much for me, myself. Look at this conference. I didn't do this. I have a great team. And they have been wonderful. They have stuck with me from the beginning to the end. We have a small group, but we can iron things out and get things, going in a straight direction. We've had people attend our meetings over the phone, and so there's been people outside of Dallas that have, contributed. But I think this assembly, it's been wonderful, and very many times I've had to stop and surrender it. And put it even in my God box, because I think, it's never going to work. It's never going to work. And I feel this huge burden, if I don't do it, it's not going to get done. And so I have to, I had to continually turn it over and trust. It really helped me learn to trust my team and the hotel, and know that all is well. All is well. God's in charge, and it's not me, running the show. And this was, fabulous.
Yes, it was. Yay, Dallas!